2 a.m. in the middle of a snowstorm. I sent one message to the Sunday dinners group chat. Don't call Mom, call the lawyer. 3 minutes later, the neighbor's doorbell camera captured a shadow carrying a gas can. 10 minutes later, every one of his accounts was frozen. Tonight, I'll only need to show 2 things: my torn shirt and a PDF file. Together, they're enough to put both of them in court. My name is Marin Blake, and I've been carrying server equipment for 12 hours straight at Northbridge Dynamics. The February snowstorm had knocked out power to half our data center, and as the junior operations engineer, I'd drawn the short straw. My left shoulder screamed with each movement, but I'd pushed through. That's what you do when you're 28 and still trying to prove yourself in tech. The drive home through Riverton's empty streets felt endless. Snow pelted my windshield faster than the wipers could clear it. Lake Michigan's wind howled through the gaps in my 10-year-old Civic's weather stripping. All I wanted was a hot shower in my bed. I should have known something was wrong the moment I saw every light blazing in the house. Dale never wasted electricity, not when he could complain about the bill instead. But exhaustion dulled my instincts, and I trudged up the unshoveled walkway, fumbling for my keys with numb fingers. The smell hit me first. Whiskey, sharp and sour, mixing with the cigarette smoke that had yellowed our walls despite Mom's Vivian's half-hearted attempts at air fresheners. Dale sat sprawled on the couch, still in his warehouse uniform, an empty bottle of Jack Daniels tilted against his thigh. "Finally decided to show up," he slurred, not looking away from the TV. Some reality show blared at maximum volume. I ignored him, heading straight for the stairs. 3 steps up, and his voice cut through the noise. "Get back here. Got business to discuss." My shoulders tensed. "It's 2 a.m. Dale, whatever it is can wait." The TV went silent. In my peripheral vision, I saw him struggle to his feet, swaying slightly. Mom appeared in the kitchen doorway, wearing her faded blue robe, arms crossed. She said nothing. "The refinance papers," Dale said, each word deliberate despite the alcohol. "Need your signature." I turned slowly. "What refinance papers?" He picked up a manila folder from the coffee table, waving it like a flag. "House needs work, roof shot, furnace is dying, bank says we qualify for cash-out refi, but needs all adults on the deed to sign." "I'm not on the deed," I said carefully. My name had never been on this house. Mom had made sure of that when she married Dale 5 years ago. "Details." He shuffled closer, bringing the whiskey stench with him. "Just need you to co-sign. Family helps family." I could see the papers from where I stood, my name typed neatly on a signature line. Below that, something about a car loan, amounts that made my stomach drop. $30,000 for the house, another $20,000 for a vehicle I'd never seen. "No." The word hung between us. Mom shifted in the doorway. Dale's bloodshot eyes narrowed. "What did you say?" I said no. I'm not co-signing anything. My voice stayed steady despite my racing pulse. Especially not loans I know nothing about. "You live here rent-free. I pay $800 a month. Dale, direct deposit to Mom's account, every month for 3 years. His face darkened. The folder crumpled in his grip. "Ungrateful little, you think you're too good for us now. Think that fancy computer job makes you better." I took a step back up the stairs. "I'm going to bed. We can discuss this when you're sober." That's when he lunged. 240 pounds of drunk fury crashed into me. My bad shoulder hit the banister first, and I heard more than felt the sick pop of separation. Pain whited out my vision. His hands grabbed my shirt, hauling me back down, fabric tearing. "You'll sign it," he snarled, breath hot against my face. "One way or another." My right hand scrabbled for my phone while my left arm hung useless. Years of safety training kicked in. Document everything. Always have evidence. I triggered the voice recorder just as he shoved me against the wall. "Dale, stop," Mom's voice, but she didn't move from the kitchen doorway. "Stay out of this, Viv. Girl needs to learn respect." He raised his fist. I twisted sideways, and his knuckles cracked against drywall instead of my face. Plaster dust rained down. The movement sent agony through my shoulder, but I kept the phone recording, hidden against my side. "You're drunk," I gasped. "You're assaulting me. This is illegal." "Illegal." He laughed, ugly and sharp. "You want to talk illegal? How about theft? Living here, taking our food, using our electricity, and can't even help when we need it. I pay rent." His backhand caught me across the cheek. My head snapped sideways, copper flooding my mouth. I stumbled, phone clattering away, still recording from the floor. "Sign the papers." "No." He grabbed my injured arm, twisting. The scream tore from my throat before I could stop it. Through tears, I saw Mom standing there, watching, just watching. "For God's sake, Vivian," I choked out. "Call someone, please." She met my eyes, and for a moment, I thought I saw something crack in her expression. Then she spoke, voice flat as old cardboard. "You brought this on yourself. Marin, just sign the papers." The betrayal hurt worse than the dislocated shoulder. Dale released me, and I crumpled to the floor, cradling my arm. He disappeared upstairs, heavy footsteps shaking the ceiling. Drawers slammed, objects hit the floor. He returned with an armload of my belongings laptop bag, work papers, the emergency cash I kept hidden in my jewelry box. Without a word, he yanked open the front door. Arctic wind screamed inside, carrying a whirlwind of snow. "Get out," he said, throwing my things onto the frozen porch. "Come back when you're ready to be reasonable." I struggled to my feet, phone somehow back in my right hand. "You can't, this is illegal eviction." "My house, my rules." He grabbed my coat from the hook, tossed it after the rest. "Maybe a night in the cold will fix your attitude." I looked at Mom one last time. She turned away, heading back to the kitchen. The coffee maker started gurgling. Cradling my useless arm, I stumbled onto the porch. The door slammed behind me. The lock clicked. 15 degrees below freezing, snow thick enough to blur the streetlights, and me in torn clothes with a separated shoulder. My car keys were inside, my wallet scattered somewhere in the snow with everything else Dale had thrown. But I had my phone, 60% battery, full signal. I activated voice commands through chattering teeth, opened the camera, and started documenting. The torn shirt, my swelling face in the phone's light, the purple already spreading across my shoulder, each image automatically backing up to my cloud drive, tagged with time and GPS coordinates. Then I opened the family group chat, the one Dale had mockingly named Sunday Dinners, as if we were some happy sitcom family. 43 members, cousins, aunts, uncles, Mom's church friends, even Paula Winters, our neighborhood watch captain. My fingers were too numb to type much, but I didn't need to. 3 photos, 1 voice recording, and a shared link, Evidence M, to the folder I'd been building for months, hoping I'd never need it. At the bottom, I added 1 line. "Don't call Mom. Call the lawyer." Then I picked up what I could carry with one arm and started walking through the blizzard toward the only person I could trust, my half-sister Ava. 3 blocks away. Who'd left this house the day she turned 18 and never looked back. Behind me, I caught a glimpse of Dale's shadow in the living room window. He was pouring another drink, probably convinced he'd won. He had no idea what I'd just set in motion. The first notification pinged before I'd made it past the Hendersons' driveway. Then another, and another. My phone vibrated continuously as I stumbled through knee-deep snow, each step sending lightning through my shoulder. What the hell? Oh my God. Marin. Calling 911 right now. Dale, you piece of... I couldn't read them all, not with one hand clutching my dead arm and snow blinding me, but I heard Ava's text notification, her custom sound, a sharp whistle, and forced myself to check. "I'm already on the porch. I can see you. Keep walking." 3 blocks had never felt longer. The wind cut through my torn shirt like knives. My work laptop bag, rescued from the snow, banged against my hip with each stumbling step. But there Ava's porch light, the only one on the street blazing against the storm. She met me at the sidewalk, wrapping her coat around me without a word. Ava had Mom's height but our father's sharp features. Her face set in the same expression she'd worn the day Dale had tried to make her pay back rent for her childhood bedroom. "Don't talk," she said, guiding me up her salted steps. "Save it for the recording." Inside, her house was everything ours wasn't: warm, clean, safe. She deposited me on her couch and immediately went to work. Ice packs from the freezer, her old college hoodie to replace my torn shirt. She'd been an EMT before switching to compliance work, and her hands were steady as she fashioned a sling from a pillowcase. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing. The group chat had exploded 43 notifications and climbing. "Put it on speaker," Ava said, photographing my injuries with her own phone. "Let's see what we're working with." I opened Sunday dinners to chaos. Cousin Marcus. "Already screenshotted everything. Dale, if you delete anything, we'll know." Aunt Sharon. "Vivian, how could you? That's your daughter." Paula Winters. "I have exterior cameras. Pulling footage now." Uncle Ted. "This is a family matter. We shouldn't air dirty laundry." Ava grabbed my phone and typed one-handed while still documenting my injuries. Ted, Michigan Penal Code 750.81, domestic assault, up to 93 days jail and/or $500 fine. This stopped being a family matter when he laid hands on her. The chat went quiet for exactly 10 seconds. Then, Mrs. Rodriguez from 2 houses down. "I have Dale on my Ring camera at 2:11 a.m. carrying something to his car. Looked like a gas can." My blood went cold. Ava's fingers stilled on her phone. "Download that footage," she said quietly. "Email it to yourself. Back it up. Then send to the group. Everyone else with cameras. Check the last hour. Now." 3 more neighbors chimed in within minutes. The Nguyen's driveway cam caught Dale's truck driving past at 2:13. The Johnsons had him returning at 2:18, no gas can visible. Paula Winters, our neighborhood watch captain, had the clearest angle: Dale approaching my Honda Civic with the can, then abruptly turning back when a police cruiser made its routine patrol down our street. "Attempted arson," Ava muttered. "Destruction of property. That's a felony. Minimum." Someone new joined the chat: Detective Erin Maddox, Riverton PD. Paula had added her. "Ms. Blake, I'm en route to your location. ETA 5 minutes. Do not return to the residence. Can someone confirm Ms. Blake is in a safe location?" Ava responded, "She's with me, 847 Maple. Side door is unlocked for paramedics." The chat split into factions. Mom's church friends tried deflecting, suggesting prayer and reconciliation. The younger cousins started pulling receipts, screenshots of Dale's old Facebook posts about teaching respect and handling family business. The neighbors focused on evidence, timestamps, camera angles. Then Mom joined the chat. "You're overreacting. Marin, come home and we'll sort this out like adults." I watched the typing indicators pop up like popcorn. Ava beat everyone to it. "Vivian, advise Dale to preserve all documents related to refinancing and car loans, especially any with Marin's signature. The forensic accountant will need originals." Mom went silent. Dale's profile showed active but not typing. Marcus chimed in. "Speaking of signatures, remember last year when Dale tried to add himself to Grandma's checking account? Said she signed the forms, but the bank flagged it because the signature looked off." "That was dropped," Aunt Sharon added quickly. "No," Marcus corrected. "Grandma dropped it after you all pressured her. But I kept copies." My phone rang: unknown number. Ava nodded, and I answered on speaker. "Ms. Blake, this is Dr. Patel from Riverton General. We received a courtesy call about incoming trauma. Are you experiencing any difficulty breathing, any severe pain beyond the obvious injury?" "Shoulder," I managed. "Dislocated. I think face is... my tooth might be loose." "Paramedics are 3 minutes out. Don't try to reset the shoulder yourself." The call ended. In the chat, Paula posted a PDF. "Neighborhood Watch Emergency Evidence Protocol. Everyone, please follow Section 3 for preserving digital evidence. Screenshots are not enough, we need metadata." Uncle Ted tried again. "This is getting out of hand. Family doesn't..." "Stop." That was Ava again. 3 months ago, you asked why I never visit, why I skip Sunday dinners. This is why, because you all knew what Dale was and chose comfort over conscience. Well, Marin just gave you receipts. Choose wisely. My Cloud Drive link had been clicked 47 times. The folder I'd been building screenshots of threatening texts, recordings of Dale's jokes about teaching me lessons, photos of mysteriously damaged belongings, all time-stamped, all backed up. Mrs. Chen from the corner house added a bombshell. I work at Lakeview Credit Union. Cannot discuss specifics. But Marin, please come see me Monday about any accounts or loans you didn't personally open. Bring your ID and a police report. The paramedics arrived then, professional and efficient. They confirmed the dislocation, started an IV for pain management, and prepared me for transport. Detective Maddox arrived simultaneously. Badge out, recorder ready. Keep the chat active, she instructed the group. No deleting, no editing. This is now evidence in an active investigation. As they loaded me onto the gurney, I caught a final exchange in the chat. Dale. She's lying, making things up for attention. You all know how dramatic. The message cut off, because Paula Winters, 60-year-old grandmother and neighborhood watch captain, posted a video, time-stamped 1:47 a.m., clear as day despite the snow. Dale dragging me onto the porch, the sound of my scream when he twisted my arm, him throwing my belongings into the snow, Mom standing in the doorway, watching. Still think she's lying. Dale, Paula typed. Or should I post the one from last month too, when you helped her carry groceries inside? The chat went nuclear. Family members who'd been silent started typing. Apologies, condemnations, offers of help. Someone started a separate chat without Dale or Mom actual help for Marin, and the invites flooded in. As the ambulance doors closed, Ava squeezed my good hand. I've got your laptop bag and whatever else I could find in the snow. Focus on the hospital. I'll handle the digital side. She held up her phone, showing the chat one more time. At the very top, she'd pinned a message. From now on, everything gets documented. Every text, every call, every interaction. This family's done hiding bruises. Receipts only. The morphine was kicking in, making everything soft around the edges. But through the haze, I saw the notification count on our Cloud Drive climbing. 43 family members and neighbors, all suddenly finding their own evidence to contribute. Dale thought he'd won by throwing me into the snow. Instead, he'd activated an entire neighborhood's worth of witnesses. And we were just getting started. The emergency room at Riverton General smelled like disinfectant and fear. They'd rushed me past the waiting room. Domestic violence cases got priority. Apparently, the morphine had worn off during x-rays, and now every breath sent fire through my shoulder. Anterior dislocation with possible ligament damage, Dr. Patel explained, holding up the films. We'll need to reduce it under sedation, but first, she nodded to Detective Maddox, who'd been waiting with infinite patience. The detective needs to document everything. Maddox was younger than I'd expected, maybe early 30s, with the kind of steady presence that made you want to tell the truth. She set up her camera on a tripod, pulled out evidence bags, and got to work. I need to photograph every injury, she said, voice professionally neutral. Then we'll take your statement. Is that okay? I nodded. The hospital gown left me exposed, vulnerable, but Maddox worked with clinical efficiency. Flash after flash my shoulder, the handprint bruising on my arm, my swollen cheek, the cuts from where I'd fallen in the snow. Turn your head left, now right. Can you lift your hair? Each photo time-stamped, each angle documented. Did he strangle you at any point? No, just grabbed and twisted. She bagged my torn shirt, sealed it, labeled it. This recording from your phone, can you unlock it for me? I gave her the passcode. She connected it to her laptop, downloaded the file, verified the metadata. The sounds of the assault filled the small exam room, Dale's slurred threats, my scream, Mom's cold dismissal. Clear evidence of assault, Maddox said, making notes. The neighbors' videos corroborate perfectly. Now, about this refinancing. I never signed anything, I said quickly. I refused. That's what started it. But there are documents with your signature. He must have forged them, or I thought of Marcus's comment about Grandma. He's done it before, tried to add himself to my grandmother's account with a fake signature. Maddox's stylus flew across her tablet. I'll need details on that. But first, do you want to press charges? Yes. No hesitation. Are you afraid to return home? Yes. Do you believe Dale Mercer poses an imminent threat to your safety? He came back with a gas can. He was going to burn my car. If that police cruiser hadn't driven by. That's enough for an emergency protective order. She pulled up forms on her tablet. This will prohibit any contact for 7 days while we prepare the full restraining order. He cannot call, text, email, or approach within 500 feet. Violation means immediate arrest. My phone buzzed. Ava. Texting from the waiting room. Credit union manager in the chat confirmed 3 loan applications in your name, all submitted in the last 2 weeks. They're freezing everything pending fraud investigation. I showed Maddox. Her expression hardened. Identity theft, wire fraud if he used electronic signatures. This is bigger than assault. She made a call. Yeah, it's Maddox. I need a financial crimes detective at Riverton General. Possible identity theft tied to domestic assault. Doctor, Patel returned. We need to reset that shoulder. Detective, are you finished? Almost. Maddox faced me directly. Ms. Blake, I've been doing this for 8 years. Your evidence is some of the most comprehensive I've seen. The recordings, the timeline, the witness corroboration you did everything right. But I need to warn you, Dale will likely be arrested tonight. That tends to escalate things. Do you have somewhere safe to stay? My sister's. Good. Don't post your location online. Don't answer calls from unknown numbers. And document every attempt at contact. Every flying monkey sent your way. Flying monkey. People who do the abuser's bidding. Family members trying to guilt you into dropping charges. Friends carrying messages. It'll happen. They sedated me for the shoulder reduction. I went under thinking about flying monkeys and woke up to find my arm immobilized and 2 new people in the room. Ms. Blake, I'm Detective Morrison, Financial Crimes. This is Kelly Park from Adult Protective Services. My brain felt fuzzy. Protective Services. I'm 28. For your mother, Park explained gently. Given the financial exploitation and her apparent complicity, we need to assess whether she's also being abused or coerced. I wanted to laugh. Mom. Coerced. She'd stood there watching, calm as could be. But I kept quiet. Morrison had printed screenshots from the chat. This credit union employee, without revealing specifics, she indicated multiple fraudulent applications. Can you verify you never applied for these loans? Never. I have my own accounts at First National. Haven't banked at Lakeview since college. But Dale knew you used to. The pieces clicked. My old checkbook. I left it in my desk drawer when I moved back home. It would have account numbers, old signatures. Morrison and Maddox exchanged looks. We'll need a warrant for that desk, Morrison said. And your permission to pull credit reports, bank records, the works. I signed everything they put in front of me. My phone kept buzzing, the group chat still active despite the late hour. Ava was coordinating with military precision. Marcus found 6 more people Dale borrowed money from using fake family emergencies, she'd typed, all willing to provide statements. Paula has 17 video files spanning 3 months. She's been documenting everything since the mailbox incident. Grandma's awake and mad as hell. Wants to add her testimony about the forged checks. Park read over my shoulder. This is unusual. Typically families close ranks. Protect the abuser. You've got an entire neighborhood building a case. Ava started it, I said. When she left 5 years ago, she told everyone exactly why. They didn't listen then. But now they have proof, Park nodded. Your sister's smart. Documentation beats denial every time. A commotion in the hallway raised voices. Hospital security being paged. Maddox stepped out. Hand on her radio. She returned quickly. Dale just showed up demanding to see you. Hospital security has him in the lobby. I'm going to serve the EPO now. She paused. Want to guess who drove him here? My stomach sank. Mom! She's insisting this is all a misunderstanding, that you're mentally unstable, making false accusations. Maddox's jaw tightened. Fair warning, she's recording everything on her phone, probably planning to use it against you. Then she's recording herself violating hospital privacy laws, Morrison noted. Bold strategy. They left to handle Dale. I was alone for the first time in hours, arm throbbing despite the pain meds. My phone screen showed 347 unread messages in the family chat. I scrolled through, watching alliances form and reform. Mom's church friends had split, half defending her, half sharing their own concerns about Dale they'd kept quiet. The cousins were digging up everything, old police reports from neighbors, employment records showing Dale's firing for theft, even a newspaper clipping about a bar fight. Then I saw it. Ava had posted a scanned document. Marriage certificate, Vivian Blake and Dale Mercer, note the date. My blood chilled. The date was 3 months before what Mom had told everyone. 3 months before Dad's life insurance paid out, I whispered. The chat exploded. Family members doing math, realizing Mom had married Dale while Dad was dying, kept it secret until after the funeral and the insurance settlement. Aunt Sharon. Vivian, please tell me this is wrong. Radio silence from Mom. Ava posted another document. Dad's will left everything to his daughters if Mom remarried within a year of his death. She knew. She hid the marriage to steal our inheritance. I stared at the screen, puzzle pieces clicking into place. The sudden renovation money, Dale's new truck, Mom insisting I didn't need college funds because family helps family. They'd stolen from me long before tonight's forged loans. A knock, Dr. Patel, with discharge papers. You're stable enough to go home well. To your sisters. Follow up with orthopedics in 3 days. And Ms. Blake. She squeezed my good shoulder. You're doing the right thing. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I found Ava in the waiting room, laptop open, fielding calls. She'd turned the chaos into order, a shared spreadsheet of evidence. Witness contact info, timeline of events. Ready to go home? She asked. That's not my home anymore. No, she agreed, helping me stand. It never really was. As we left, I glimpsed Dale in the lobby, handcuffs glinting under fluorescent lights while Maddox read him his rights. Mom stood beside him, filming with her phone, mascara streaking her cheeks. She looked up, met my eyes across the space. For a second, I saw something flicker, regret, fear. Then her expression hardened, and she turned away. Don't look back, Ava said quietly. From now on, we only move forward. Behind us, I heard Maddox's clear voice. Dale Mercer, you're under arrest for assault, attempted arson, and identity theft. You have the right to remain silent. The automatic doors closed on Mom's wailing, and we stepped out into the snow. Monday morning at Lakeview Credit Union felt surreal. 3 days had passed since the assault, and my arm was still immobilized in a sling. But I sat across from Mrs. Rodriguez, the branch manager who'd cryptically warned me in the group chat, ready to uncover the full extent of Dale's fraud. First, I need to verify your identity, she said, though her expression was sympathetic. Driver's license, social security card, and the police report Detective Maddox mentioned you'd have. I spread the documents across her desk with my good hand. She examined each carefully, then pulled up my records on her screen. Her face darkened with each click. 3 loan applications in 2 weeks, she confirmed. A refinancing on a property at 4847 Birchwood, your mother's address, a car loan for a 2023 Ford F-150, and a personal loan for $15,000. Total attempted fraud, $65,000. My stomach dropped. $65,000. All with electronic signatures. She turned her monitor toward me. Do these look familiar? I leaned forward, studying the signature lines. They looked like mine at first glance, but something was off. The M in Marin was too tall. The K in Blake had an extra loop I never used. Wait, I pulled out my phone, scrolling back through old photos. I have something. 2 months ago, I'd signed a birthday card for my nephew and posted a photo of it. The signature was clearly visible. I showed Mrs. Rodriguez. Look at the differences. The slant, the spacing between letters. I opened another app. And here my lease agreement from last year. I always keep digital copies. She compared them on her screen, zooming in on each signature. These are definitely not the same, but they're close, like someone traced or copied and pasted, I suggested. My old checkbook went missing from my desk. It had my signature on every check. That would do it. Scan, digitize, clean up in photo editing software. She pulled out forms. We need to file a fraud affidavit immediately. This will freeze all applications and trigger a full investigation. As I signed with my real signature, awkward left-handed, she kept talking. The applications came from an IP address registered to your mother's house, submitted late at night, all within a 48-hour window. The email used was marinblake47@gmail.com. 2 eyes in Marin, I noticed, trying to look legitimate if someone glanced quickly. Exactly, amateur hour. Honestly, our fraud detection was already flagging it when you walked in. She pulled out more papers. We'll need to notify the credit bureaus. Freeze your credit entirely. Have you checked for other banks? I shook my head. Ava had been handling the digital investigation while I recovered. Mrs. Rodriguez made a call. Hi, Janet? Yes. I have the identity theft victim here now. Can you run a full spectrum check? Social security number is... 20 minutes later, we had the full picture. Dale had been busy. 2 credit cards at major retailers, a payday loan, even an attempt at opening a business line of credit for a lawn care service that didn't exist. Total exposure across all institutions, 118,000, Mrs. Rodriguez said grimly. He was escalating. The early applications were small, testing the waters. When those weren't immediately caught, he went bigger. Why now? I asked. He's had access to my information for years. Desperation, probably. Does he have debts? Gambling problems. I thought about the crushed beer cans, the lottery tickets Mom tried to hide, the calls from numbers Dale never answered. All of the above. There's something else, she lowered her voice. That joint refinancing he wanted you to sign, we'd already rejected it. His credit is destroyed. Your mother's isn't much better. You were their last shot at legitimate borrowing. So when I refused, he went illegal. She stood. Let me get our fraud specialist. This is going to take a while. The specialist, a sharp-eyed woman named Janet Park, walked me through every step. Fraud affidavits for each institution, police report addendums, credit freezes with all 3 bureaus, paper after paper, creating a wall against Dale's schemes. The forgery is obvious once you look closely, Janet said, examining the signatures under a magnifying glass. See the pixelation here, classic copy-paste artifacts, and this watermark, She went quiet, adjusting the lamp angle. Oh, this is interesting. What? Your old checks, what company printed them? Safe check. I think the default from the bank back in college. She smiled grimly. They use microprinting in their signature lines. Tiny text that says, authorized signature, repeated. When you copy and enlarge, it distorts. She showed me the loan documents under magnification. See instead of text. It's just wavy lines. Dead giveaway of forgery. My phone buzzed. Ava. Found something huge. Dale's ex-wife just contacted me. She has documents from their divorce. He did this to her too. I showed Janet, who immediately perked up. Pattern behavior. That's gold for prosecution. Can she send documentation? Within an hour, we had it. Dale's ex-wife, Linda, had emailed a folder of evidence from 2018. Forged signatures on refinancing, credit cards opened in her name, even a fake business loan for a construction company that never existed. She never pressed charges. Linda's email explained. He threatened to take the kids, said no one would believe me, but I kept everything. Janet cross-referenced the old fraud with the new, Same methods, same mistakes. He even used the same email pattern, 2 I's in her name too. She looked at me. This establishes pattern and practice. He's done. We worked through lunch, building an airtight case. Every forged document got flagged, analyzed, documented. The credit union's legal team got involved, preparing subpoenas for the email providers and IP traces. Then Mrs. Rodriguez returned with IT security. We pulled the submission metadata. The loan applications were uploaded from a laptop registered to Dale Mercer. MAC address confirmed. But here's the interesting part. He was simultaneously logged into his personal Facebook, posting about needing money for home repairs. Timestamps match, Janet asked. To the minute. He was literally posting sob stories while committing felony fraud. My phone rang. Ava. You need to see the house cameras Paula just sent, she said without preamble. Night of the assault, 2 hours before everything went down. Dale's in the garage with your old files. What files? The banker's box from your closet. Tax returns, old contracts, bank statements. He's photographing pages with his phone. The pieces clicked. He was planning this. The assault wasn't just about the signature. He already had everything he needed to forge. He just wanted me to legitimize it. Or he wanted you gone, Ava said quietly. Easier to steal from someone who's not around to notice. I relayed this to the credit union team. Janet immediately called Detective Morrison. Yes, premeditation, she said. Video evidence of document theft prior to assault. This changes everything. While she talked, I signed the last of the fraud prevention paperwork. My credit was now locked tighter than Fort Knox. Any institution trying to verify my identity would get a bright red fraud alert. What about the damage already done? I asked Mrs. Rodriguez. Every fraudulent application will be reversed. Your credit report will be flagged as identity theft victim. It actually protects your score. The institutions eat the loss and go after Dale for recovery. And my mother? She hesitated. That's complicated. If she knew about the fraud, she's an accomplice. If she benefited from it, say, if loan money went into joint accounts, she's liable for restitution. I thought about Mom standing in that doorway, watching Dale twist my arm. She knew. Then she'll face her own charges. Mrs. Rodriguez's expression softened. I'm sorry. This kind of betrayal, it's hard. No, I said, surprising myself with my steadiness. What's hard is living with it. This is just paperwork and consequences. Janet hung up with Morrison. Detective wants all our documentation. They're building a RICO case racketeering, with Linda's evidence, your case, and 3 other victims who've come forward. Dale's looking at federal charges. 3 others. Your grandmother, a coworker from his last job, and she checked her notes. Someone named Marcus says Dale got power of attorney for a cousin with dementia, cleaned out his accounts. My cousin Marcus, building cases in the group chat. Of course he'd found more victims. How long has Dale been doing this? I asked. Based on the patterns, at least 8 years, maybe longer. Janet stacked the papers. Serial financial predators rarely stop until they're caught. You did that, Ms. Blake. You stopped him. I left the credit union 4 hours after arriving, carrying a thick folder of documentation. My phone had blown up with messages reporters had gotten wind of the arrest. The group chat was coordinating witness statements, and Detective Maddox had sent 3 updates about new charges being filed. But I had one more stop: the house, my house, where my belongings still sat in a torn-apart bedroom while criminals played happy family. Ava met me in the driveway with backup Marcus, 2 cousins, and Paula Winters with her phone already recording. Protective order says they can't be here when you retrieve your belongings, Ava explained. Maddox is inside supervising, ready. I looked at the house where I'd grown up, where Dad had taught me to ride a bike in the driveway, where Mom had baked cookies before she became someone I didn't recognize. Yeah, I said, gripping my folder of evidence. Let's get this done. We walked in together, and I didn't look back. Detective Maddox stood in my childhood bedroom, latex gloves on, cataloging evidence, The room looked like a tornado had hit, drawers yanked out, papers scattered, my mattress half off the frame. Dale's search for forgeable documents had been thorough. "Don't touch anything yet," she instructed as our group crowded in. "I need to document the state of the room first." Paula Winters was already filming, her phone steady as she panned across the destruction. Timestamp 2:47 p.m., Monday, February 12th, witnessing property retrieval for Maren Blake. Room shows signs of aggressive searching. Marcus whistled low. He really tore the place apart. On my desk, my old checkbook lay open. Several checks missing. Next to it, a scanner still plugged in. Its history showing dozens of documents scanned 3 nights ago. Bank statements, tax returns, even my birth certificate, all digitized hours before the assault. "Premeditation confirmed," Maddox muttered, bagging the scanner. He prepared everything in advance, just needed your physical signature or your absence to execute. Ava pulled out her laptop. "I've been analyzing the metadata from the group chat. Look at this timeline." She showed Maddox her screen. Dale posts in the chat at 11:47 p.m. about home repairs needed. At 11:52 p.m., first loan application submitted. 12:03 a.m., he's scanning Maren's documents. 12:45 a.m., he starts drinking heavily based on the empties in the kitchen. "Liquid courage," I said. "He knew I'd refuse." "Or liquid excuse," Maddox countered. "Jury's less sympathetic to a drunk abuser than a calculating one. But with this evidence, intoxication won't help him." We worked methodically. Every item of mine went into labeled boxes: clothes, electronics, personal documents. Paula documented each box with photos. The cousins carried them to Marcus's truck. I tried not to think about how my life fit into 8 cardboard boxes. In the closet, pushed behind Dale's hunting gear, Ava found something interesting, a manila folder labeled insurance. "Maddox," she called. The detective examined it carefully before opening. Inside were photocopies of life insurance policies, mine, Mom's, even one on my grandmother. "All taken out in the last year," Maddox noted. "All with Dale as beneficiary. Maren, did you know about these?" "No." My voice came out strangled. "He forged these too." "Looks like it. Same signature issues." She held one up to the light. "But life insurance requires medical exams, verification. How did he—" Her face changed. "Unless he had help from someone who could answer medical questions, someone who knew your history." "Mom, of course." Marcus pulled me aside while Maddox called for additional warrants. "There's something else. Remember cousin Rebecca, the one who died in that car accident 3 years ago? Single car, hit a tree, she'd been drinking." "Yeah, well," he glanced around, lowered his voice. "Her ex-husband just joined the chat. Says Dale sold her the car, uninspected, with known brake problems. And guess who had a life insurance policy on Rebecca?" Ice filled my veins. "You're not suggesting—" "I'm not suggesting anything, but he's sharing the mechanic's report with investigators." Marcus gripped my good shoulder. "This goes deep. Maren, whatever you stirred up, it's bigger than tonight." Paula's phone rang. She answered, face growing grave. "Understood. Yes, she's here." She handed it to me. "Mrs. Rodriguez from the credit union." "Ms. Blake, I'm sorry to bother you, but something urgent came up. We just received a wire transfer request from your mother's account to an overseas bank. Large amount. It was flagged because of the morning's fraud alert." "How large?" "40,000. Nearly the entire balance. The receiving bank is in the Cayman Islands." I put her on speaker. Maddox immediately took the phone. "This is Detective Maddox. Do not process that transfer. We need that account frozen immediately." "Already done. But there's more. The transfer was initiated from a computer at the public library. Someone's trying to move money before it gets seized." "Mom, she was running." "Thank you," Maddox said. "Send all documentation to the Financial Crimes Unit." She hung up and immediately made another call. "Morrison, yeah. We need units at the library and the airport. Vivian Mercer is attempting to flee." The room erupted. Ava pulling up flight schedules on her laptop. Marcus texting the group chat. Paula calling her neighborhood watch network. Within minutes, we had confirmation Mom had booked a one-way ticket to Georgetown, Grand Cayman, leaving tonight. With Dale in custody, she's trying to salvage what she can, Maddox explained. Take the money and run before accomplice charges hit. Abandoning him, I said numbly, just like she abandoned me. We finished packing in tense silence. Every drawer revealed new evidence, forged documents, fake business plans, even a notebook with practiced versions of my signature. Dale had been patient, methodical, evil. The garage was worse. Bankers' boxes of documents from other victims, going back years. Driver's licenses of people I didn't recognize, probably homeless individuals Dale had stolen from. A laminating machine for creating fake IDs. This is a full operation, Maddox breathed. He wasn't just a desperate gambler. This was his business. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Local area code. Against my better judgment, I answered. Marin. Mom's voice, carefully controlled. I know you're angry, but... I hit speaker. Everyone froze. But you don't understand the full situation. Dale has problems, yes, but sending him to prison helps no one. Drop the charges, and I'll make sure you get your inheritance. The money your father left, I still have it? You mean the money you stole by hiding your marriage? Silence. Then, I was protecting you. You were grieving. The money was safer with me. You let him hurt me, I cut in. You stood there and watched. You were being dramatic. You always dramatize things, ever since you were little. Remember when you claimed Tommy Henderson pushed you off the swings? You've always been attention-seeking. Maddox grabbed the phone. Mrs. Mercer, this is Detective Maddox. This call is being recorded. Are you attempting to bribe a witness? The line went dead. That's consciousness of guilt, Maddox said, satisfied. Witness tampering, attempted bribery. She just added years to her sentence. Ava was typing furiously. Posted to the chat. Everyone heard Mom's true colors. The group chat exploded again. Family members who'd defended Mom were backpedaling. The church friends were shocked. Aunt Sharon posted a memory from Dad's funeral, Mom in black, crying about how she'd never love again while already wearing Dale's ring. We carried the last box out as the sun set. The house looked normal from the outside, suburban. Safe, American dream. You'd never know the rot inside. One more thing, Maddox said. She handed me an envelope. Victim services. There's compensation available. Counseling resources. Legal aid. You're not alone in this. Paula stepped forward. And the neighborhood has your back. We've started a fund for your legal expenses. Already raised $3,000. I don't need... Yes, you do, Marcus interrupted. Family takes care of family. Real family. The kind you choose. My phone rang again. Mrs. Rodriguez. Update airport security has Vivian Mercer in custody. She was carrying $9,000 cash, just under the declaration limit. And Ms. Blake, we found something interesting in the transfer attempt. The Cayman account was opened last week. The email used to verify it. Vivian Mercer 1985@gmail.com. Her birth year, I said. Which means she planned this. She knew Dale would get caught eventually. She was preparing her exit strategy. So much for maternal love. We convoyed back to Ava's house, my life in the back of Marcus's truck. The group chat kept pinging reporters' wanted statements, lawyers offering pro bono help, distant relatives suddenly remembering weird things about Dale they'd ignored. Tomorrow we meet with the prosecutor, Ava said as we unpacked. They'll want to prep you for testimony. Are you ready? I looked at my evidence folder, thick with proof of betrayal. Thought about Mom at the airport with her cash and her one-way ticket. Dale in a cell. Probably still convinced he was the victim. Yeah, I said. I'm ready to end this. Paula's final video of the day showed the house at sunset, police tape across the door, evidence van in the driveway. She'd captioned it simply, "Justice begins at home." The comment underneath was from Linda, Dale's ex-wife. Thank you for doing what I couldn't. He won't hurt anyone else now. That night, surrounded by boxes in Ava's guest room, I finally let myself feel it. Not sadness that would come later, but relief. The secrets were out. The evidence was filed. The running was over. Tomorrow would bring lawyers and testimony and more horrible discoveries. But tonight, for the first time in years, I was safe. My phone lit up with one last notification. Detective Morrison. Texting directly, federal prosecutor wants to meet Thursday. You're the key witness in what's becoming a multi-state fraud case. Rest up. You're going to need it. I set the phone aside and closed my eyes. Let them come. I had receipts for everything. Tuesday morning. I sat at Ava's kitchen table with my laptop, good arm free from the sling for light use. The familiar glow of terminal windows and log files felt like armor against the chaos. If Dale wanted to play digital games, he'd chosen the wrong opponent. "What exactly are you doing?" Ava asked, setting down coffee. "Forensic reconstruction," I said, fingers flying across keys. "Every digital action leaves traces. Time to map Dale's entire fraud network." I'd requested copies of all the forged documents from Detective Morrison. Now I ran them through analysis tools I used at work, EXIF extractors, metadata parsers, hash comparisons. Each file told a story. "Look at this," I showed Ava. The PDF of my forged signature on the refinancing created February 9th, 3:47 a.m., but modified February 10th, 11:52 p.m. He made it days early, then edited right before submission. Proving premeditation. More than that, I pulled up the document properties. The software he used leaves a digital fingerprint, Adobe Acrobat Pro, version 2019 licensed to, I smiled grimly, Dale's Lawn Service LLC, a business that doesn't exist except on paper. My phone buzzed. Marcus in the group chat. Found Dale's cloud storage password in his old work emails, legal to access. I called Morrison. If he used that account for fraud, we can get a warrant, he confirmed. Send me the details. While waiting for legal clearance, I worked on timeline visualization. Every bank submission, every forged document, every threatening text plotted on a graph. Patterns emerged. He always struck between 2 to 4 a.m., I noted. When systems have less human oversight, but look, I highlighted clusters. Major fraud attempts always followed his gambling losses. Casino ATM withdrawals here, loan applications here. Ava studied the screen. He'd lose big, then steal to cover it. Every time, predictable as clockwork. My secure email pinged. Morrison, warrant approved, cloud access granted. What am I looking for? I remote accessed Dale's cloud storage, sharing my screen with Morrison's team via encrypted connection. The folder structure alone was damning. Active marks. Completed takes. Emergency funds. Jesus, Morrison's voice came through the conference call. He organized victims like a sales pipeline. Inside active marks, I found my folder. Screenshots of my social media. Photos of mail he'd stolen. Even recordings from family dinners where I'd mentioned my salary. Surveillance dating back 2 years. He's been planning this since I got promoted. I realized. Waiting for the right moment. But the real goldmine was emergency funds. Detailed records of every scam, every victim, amounts stolen, methods used. Dale had kept books like a proper criminal enterprise. 847,000. Morrison breathed. Total theft over 8 years. 43 victims that he recorded. There might be more. I kept digging. In a hidden folder marked backup, I found email drafts his communication with Mom about their plans. My stomach turned reading them. V-Girl refused dinner signature. Moving to Plan B. Have everything scanned. If she won't cooperate, we proceed without. Accident insurance pays double. D. Accident insurance. Plan B. The implications hit like ice water. Morrison, I managed. Are you seeing this? Already screenshotting. This is conspiracy to commit. He paused. I need to loop in homicide. Don't touch anything else. While Morrison made calls, I shifted focus. The credit union had provided access logs for the fraudulent applications. I cross-referenced IP addresses, MAC addresses, device fingerprints. Ava, look, I pointed at the data. Same laptop for everything, but check the network locations. Home Wi-Fi, obviously, but also Riverside Memory Care. That's where Grandma's friend Eleanor lives, Ava said slowly. The one with dementia. Dale visits her every week, says he's checking on her for the church. I pulled up Eleanor's name in Dale's files. Sure enough, powers of attorney, bank transfers, credit cards, another victim who couldn't report him. My laptop chimed. New email from an address I didn't recognize, throwaway 47238@protonmail.com. Stop digging or you'll regret it. Some secrets should stay buried. A friend. I screenshotted immediately, forwarding to Morrison, within minutes. He responded, Proton requires Swiss court orders, but the language pattern is distinctive. Run it through stylometry analysis. Stylometry analyzing writing style like a fingerprint. I fed the email through comparison tools along with samples from Dale, Mom, and others in the family chat. The results were immediate. 87% match to Mom's writing patterns. Same comma usage, same word choices, even the same spacing around M dashes. She's still trying to intimidate me, I said. From custody. Consciousness of guilt, Morrison noted. Keep documenting. I crafted a honeypot response, CCing Morrison. Which secrets? The insurance policies. Eleanor's missing money, Rebecca's car. Then I created a tracking pixel and visible image that would log IP address, device info, and location when opened, embedded it in the email, sent. While waiting, I turned to the mountain of camera footage neighbors had provided. Facial recognition wasn't my specialty, but pattern analysis was. I wrote a quick script to scan for Dale's truck in all the footage. There, I said as results populated. His truck appears at Rebecca's house 6 times in the week before her accident, always late night, but she was supposed to be in rehab then. Ava paled. I drove her there myself. Then why was Dale visiting her empty house? The tracking pixel triggered. Someone had opened my email from a device at Harbor County Jail. I pulled the logs. Android phone, older model, logged into Mom's Google account. She's reading her emails from jail, Morrison said. On a contraband phone. That's another felony. I kept the pressure on, sending another honeypot. The mechanic kept copies of everything. So did the insurance investigator. Ready to talk. Within minutes, another anonymous email. You don't understand. Dale has friends. Connected friends. Drop this before someone gets hurt. This time, Mom had forgotten to mask her typing speed. The email headers showed composition time. 17 minutes for 3 sentences. She was scared, making mistakes. Connected friends, I mused. Let's see about that. I dove into Dale's social media, archived before he could delete it. Photo after photo, at the same bar. Mickey's Tavern. Always the same group of middle-aged men. Some in work uniforms with company logos visible. Cross-referencing was tedious but revealing. James Patterson, City Water Department, Robert Kim, Building Permits, Tony Carson, County Tax Assessor, all departments that could make life difficult or easy for someone running fraud schemes. Morrison, I think I found his protection network. Send everything. We'll need state police for this, can't trust local. My phone rang. Unknown number. Different area code? Marin Blake. Female voice. Nervous. My name's Jennifer. I was married to Robert Kim. I saw the news about Dale Mercer. And, can we meet? I have information about my ex-husband and Dale. Things I was too scared to report before. Morrison took over the call, arranging safe meeting protocols. Meanwhile, my script finished analyzing the camera footage. Results showed Dale's vehicle at 3 other victims' homes, always during their documented times of death or injury. Pattern established, I told Morrison. He surveilled before stealing, knew their routines, when they'd be vulnerable. Or when they'd have accidents, he added grimly. I've got 2 more ex-wives wanting to talk. Seems your public arrest broke open a dam of silence. By afternoon, My dining table command center had 3 laptops running, phones charging, and printouts covering every surface. The FBI had officially taken over, bringing their own forensic accountants. "You've done 3 months of investigation work in 6 hours," Agent Sarah Chen told me, reviewing my analysis. "Have you considered federal law enforcement as a career?" "I just wanted my life back," I said. "This is self-defense via spreadsheet." She smiled. Best kind, harder to argue with data than witnesses. The group chat had evolved into a victim support network. Every hour brought new revelations, someone finding fraudulent loans, another discovering missing inheritance, elderly relatives with powers of attorney they never signed. Then Ava found the smoking gun. "Marin," she said quietly, holding her laptop. "Remember Dad's last week in hospice when Mom said she was staying overnight with him?" "Yeah." Visitor logs show she left at 6 p.m. every night, but Dale's credit card shows charges at Mickey's Tavern those same nights. They were together, planning, while Dad was dying alone. I stared at the evidence, timestamps, credit card receipts, visitor logs, irrefutable proof of their callousness. "Add it to the pile," I said, voice steady despite the rage building inside. "Every receipt matters." As evening approached, my analysis was complete. 47 victims identified, 1.2 million stolen, 3 suspicious deaths, a network of corrupt officials, and enough digital evidence to bury them all. My laptop dinged final email of the day, the throwaway account, but different this time. "You win. I'll testify against him. Everything. Just keep me out of Gen Pop. V." Mom broke, faced with the mountain of evidence. She'd chosen self-preservation over loyalty. How fitting. Morrison called immediately. "Her lawyer just contacted us. Full cooperation in exchange for protective custody and reduced charges. You did it. Marin, they're both done." I looked around Ava's kitchen, covered in evidence of betrayal and crime. 6 days ago, I just wanted to go to bed after a long shift. Now I was the key witness in a federal case that would take down a crime ring. "No," I corrected. "We all did it. Every neighbor with a camera. Every cousin who screenshot. Every victim who came forward. Dale thought family protects family." I smiled grimly. He was right. Real family protects each other from predators like him. My phone buzzed. Jennifer, the ex-wife who'd called earlier, had sent a photo. Her ex-husband's home office, with a whiteboard visible. On it, in Dale's handwriting, a list of names, amounts, and dates, my name near the bottom, marked "In Progress." I forwarded it to the FBI team. "Game over," I typed. "No more secrets, no more victims, just receipts and consequences." The responses flooded in, victim after victim saying "thank you," officers confirming arrests, lawyers preparing cases. But the message that mattered most came from Marcus' family dinner Sunday, Ava's house, no drama, no schemes, just spaghetti and people who actually care about you. I smiled, closing my laptop. The investigation would continue tomorrow. Tonight, I was just Marin Blake, survivor, surrounded by the family I'd chosen and the evidence I'd gathered. Dale had taught me one valuable lesson: always keep receipts. I'd learned it well. The federal courthouse in Grand Rapids loomed like a fortress of justice. 6 weeks had passed since that snowy night, and my shoulder had healed enough to ditch the sling. But the real healing would come from what happened in these courtrooms. 2 trials running simultaneously. My lawyer, David Park, explained as we went through security: criminal trial in federal court for the RICO charges, fraud, and conspiracy. Civil trial in state court for the identity theft and damages. Dale's trying to coordinate defenses, but with your mother testifying against him. "She's saving herself," I said flatly. "Nothing noble about it." "Noble or not, her testimony is devastating. She kept records he didn't know about, insurance policies, recordings of planning sessions, even videos of him practicing signatures." We entered courtroom 4A, where the civil trial would begin. Across the aisle, Dale sat with his bargain basement lawyer, wearing an ill-fitting suit that couldn't hide the jail weight he'd gained. He caught my eye and mouthed something. I looked away. Judge Patricia Thornton presided, a no-nonsense woman with sharp eyes who'd already denied 3 delay motions from Dale's team. She called court to order. "This is a consolidated civil action," she began, "combining identity theft, fraud, defamation, and damages claims from multiple plaintiffs. Ms. Blake, as lead plaintiff, you may proceed." David stood. "Your Honor, will demonstrate through documentary evidence and witness testimony that Dale Mercer ran a calculated scheme to steal identities and assets from family members and vulnerable individuals. Will show pattern behavior spanning 8 years, with damages exceeding $1.2 million. Dale's lawyer, Tom Morrison, no relation to the detective, countered weakly. "Your Honor, this is a family dispute blown out of proportion. My client admits to poor judgment but denies criminal intent." "Save it for argument, Counselor," Judge Thornton cut him off. "Let's see evidence." David called me first. I walked to the witness stand, right hand raised, swearing to tell the truth. The courtroom felt smaller from up here, Dale's presence unavoidable. "Ms. Blake," David began, "please describe the events of February 9th. I spoke clearly, clinically, like reporting a system failure at work. The request to sign fraudulent loans, the refusal, the assault, each word supported by projected evidence photos of injuries, emergency room records, police reports." "Objection," Morrison stood. "Prejudicial. The assault charges are being tried separately. The assault is directly connected to the fraud attempt." Judge Thornton ruled. "Overruled. Continue." David walked me through the evidence, the forged signatures, blown up on courtroom screens, pixelation obvious, the metadata showing creation times, the email traces. Dale shifted in his seat with each revelation. "Now, Ms. Blake, please examine Exhibit 47, the signature comparison analysis." The court's document examiner had created an overlay showing my real signature versus Dale's forgeries. The differences were glaring under professional scrutiny. "The defendant's attempts show consistent telltale signs," the examiner explained when called. "Hesitation marks where natural flow should exist. Pixel artifacts from digital manipulation. No expert would consider these authentic." Then came the bombshell evidence, Dale's own records. "Exhibit 72, David announced. The defendant's business files, recovered from cloud storage." The screen showed Dale's victim spreadsheet, names, amounts, methods. He'd tracked his crimes like a twisted accountant. Several jury members gasped. Morrison objected frantically. "Privileged illegal search. Seized under valid warrant," Judge Thornton noted. "I'll allow it." The civil trial was brutal efficiency. Witness after witness, Linda, his ex-wife, showing her identity theft. Eleanor's court-appointed guardian, detailing missing funds. The credit union's fraud investigator, explaining the sophisticated yet flawed forgery attempts. But the most damaging testimony came from an unexpected source. "State your name for the record." James Patterson, the water department employee, one of Dale's bar buddies, looked miserable. "I've been granted immunity in exchange for testimony." "Mr. Patterson, how do you know the defendant?" 15 years, drinking buddies. He paid me to delay water shutoffs for properties he was targeting, gave him time to establish residency claims, access mail." The corruption network unraveled on the stand. Building inspectors who'd falsified reports, tax assessors who'd changed records, each testifying to avoid their own prosecution, each adding nails to Dale's legal coffin. During break, I checked the group chat. The federal criminal trial was proceeding parallel. Mom on the stand there, revealing everything. Marcus texted, "She just testified about the life insurance policies. Says Dale talked about accidents all the time. Jury looks sick." We reconvened for afternoon session. Dale's defense was desperate, claiming I'd given him permission, that signatures were real, that this was all misunderstanding. Then David played the audio from that night. Dale's voice filled the courtroom. "You'll sign it, one way or another." The sound of my arm being twisted, my scream. Mom's cold. "You brought this on yourself." Juror number 3 was crying. Juror number 7 looked at Dale with undisguised disgust. "Your witness," David told Morrison. Cross-examination was pathetic. Morrison tried painting me as vindictive, opportunistic, mentally unstable. Each attempt backfired. "Isn't it true you're seeking monetary damages?" Morrison pressed. "Yes, he stole my identity and tried to destroy my credit." "So this is about money." "This is about justice. The money is just returning what was stolen." "You lived in his house rent-free." "Objection." David stood. "Counsel is testifying. Ms. Blake has provided bank records showing monthly rent payments." "Sustained," Judge Thornton said sharply. "Mr. Morrison, stick to facts and evidence." The civil trial's most dramatic moment came when Dale took the stand in his own defense. Against his lawyer's advice, he thought he could charm the jury. "She's always been dramatic," Dale insisted, "making things up for attention, just like when she claimed—" "Mr. Mercer," Judge Thornton interrupted, "answer only the question asked." David's cross was surgical. "Mr. Mercer, is this your signature on the loan application?" "I don't recall." "You don't recall signing a $30,000 loan?" "Maybe. I sign lots of things." "But you specifically recall Miss Blake being dramatic." Dale flushed. "That's different." "Is it you can't remember major financial documents, but clearly remember perceived personality traits?" David projected the metadata analysis. "This document was created on your laptop, your IP address, your email account. Still don't recall." "Someone else could have used your password-protected laptop in your house at 3 a.m. while you were home." Dale's composure cracked. "She made me do it. Living there, taking money, acting all high and mighty with her tech job, someone needed to teach." His lawyer frantically objected. Too late. Dale had essentially confessed. Meanwhile, updates from federal court painted an equally grim picture. Mom testified for 6 hours, detailing every scheme, every victim, every plan. She'd worn a wire for 2 weeks before arrest, catching Dale's associates discussing their network. Ava messaged, "Fed prosecutor says it's the largest family fraud ring they've prosecuted. Dale's looking at 20-40 years." Back in civil court, closing arguments began. Morrison went first, painting Dale as misunderstood, desperate, pushed to mistakes by family dysfunction. The jury looked unmoved. David stood for our closing. "Ladies and gentlemen, you've seen the evidence, not mistakes, calculated crimes, not misunderstandings, deliberate theft. The defendant kept records of his victims like trophies. He forged signatures with technology and malice. When confronted, he resorted to violence. He projected the victim list. 47 people, elderly, relatives, people who trusted him. Ms. Blake had the courage to stop him. Don't let her stand alone." The jury deliberated for 2 hours, swift for a complex case. We stood for the verdict. On the count of identity theft, we find the defendant liable. On the count of fraud, we find the defendant liable. On the count of defamation, we find the defendant liable. Each liable hit Dale like a physical blow, but the damages announcement was the real devastation. We award compensatory damages of $118,000 for financial losses. We award $500,000 for emotional distress, damage to reputation, and suffering. We further award punitive damages of $2.5 million to deter such conduct. $3.1 million, Dale sagged in his chair. Judge Thornton wasn't finished. "Mr. Mercer, this court also issues permanent injunction. You are forbidden from contacting Ms. Blake or any plaintiff. You are forbidden from accessing their financial information. You are required to provide all passwords and documentation for any accounts opened in victims' names. Violation will result in immediate imprisonment." Court adjourned. Dale was led away, civil trial complete, but federal criminal trial still ongoing. He faced decades in prison plus millions in restitution. In the hallway, other victims hugged me. Linda whispered thank you through tears. Eleanor's guardian shook my hand. The cousin with dementia's family told me I'd saved others from Dale's exploitation. David grinned. Civil verdict will likely be tripled once federal charges convict. Insurance companies will sue him separately. He'll never financially recover. What about Mom? Pled down to conspiracy and accessory charges, 5 to 7 years. Out in 3 with good behavior. She'll be a felon, though no financial services job, no bonding, no trust positions. Fitting punishment for someone who betrayed every trust. My phone buzzed. Paula Winters had posted in the chat, "Justice served. Marin 1, Evil 0. Marcus added, "Civil trial done. Federal verdict expected tomorrow. Family dinner still on for Sunday celebration edition." As we left the courthouse, local news waited. I'd prepared a statement. Today's verdict shows that family abuse, financial, physical, emotional, won't be tolerated or hidden. Document everything. Speak up. You're not alone. That night, back at Ava's, we ordered pizza and watched the news coverage. Dale's associates were being arrested on RICO charges. The corruption network was collapsing. My testimony had started an avalanche. "You know the house is being seized, right?" Ava said. "Proceeds of crime. After restitution, victims get compensated from the sale." I hadn't been back since retrieving my belongings. Didn't need to. That wasn't home anymore. "Let someone else make memories there," I said. "Real ones, not built on lies." Tomorrow would bring the federal verdict, likely decades of imprisonment for Dale. Mom would serve her time, then emerge to find her life destroyed by her own choices. But tonight, I sat safe in my chosen family's home, vindicated by 12 strangers who saw the truth. Dale thought he could break me that snowy night. Instead, he'd forged something stronger, a survivor with receipts. The federal courtroom was packed for verdict day. Press filled the back rows. Dale's case had become national news, a cautionary tale of family fraud spiraling into organized crime. I sat with the other key witnesses, my reconstructed evidence files in boxes beside the prosecution table. Federal prosecutor Amanda Richardson stood ready. Unlike the civil trial, this was about prison time, not money. RICO charges, wire fraud, identity theft, conspiracy, the full weight of federal law. "Has the jury reached a verdict?" Judge Michael Brooks asked. "We have, Your Honor." Dale stood, orange jumpsuit replacing his cheap suit. His court-appointed federal defender looked resigned. The evidence was overwhelming. On count 1, conspiracy to commit wire fraud. The foreman's voice was steady, methodical. Guilty, guilty, guilty. 47 counts, each one landing like a hammer blow. Dale gripped the defense table, knuckles white. But the bombshell was yet to come. "Your Honor," Prosecutor Richardson announced, "before sentencing, we'd like to present newly discovered evidence retrieved from encrypted files on the defendant's devices." Judge Brooks frowned. "This is highly irregular. The evidence directly impacts sentencing guidelines and reveals additional victims. Defense has been notified." The judge allowed it. Richardson connected her laptop to the courtroom displays. My stomach turned as I recognized the file structure. I'd cracked the encryption just 2 days ago, working with FBI cybercrime specialists. "These are communications between Dale Mercer and his network," Richardson explained, discussing what they called permanent solutions to their victim problem. The emails appeared on screen. Discussions about break lines, about medication dosages, about making problems go away naturally. Rebecca's name featured prominently, dated a week before her fatal crash. The courtroom erupted. Judge Brooks hammered for order. "Mr. Mercer," he said coldly, "these communications suggest conspiracy to commit murder. While you're not charged with that today, I'll be referring this to homicide investigators immediately." Dale's lawyer tried damage control. "Your Honor, these are hypothetical discussions, taken out of context." Hypothetical. Richardson pulled up another email. Quote, "Rebecca's insurance pays out next week. Break work complete. Make it look accidental. Sent 3 days before her death." I heard Linda, Dale's ex-wife, sobbing behind me. She'd suspected but never had proof. "Continue with sentencing recommendations," Judge Brooks ordered. visibly shaken. The federal sentencing guidelines were complex, but Richardson broke it down. Base-level offense, plus enhancements for vulnerable victims, leadership role in conspiracy, obstruction of justice. The numbers climbed. The government recommends 360 months, 30 years before considering additional charges. Dale's lawyer made a weak plea for leniency, citing alcoholism, gambling addiction, difficult childhood, standard sympathy plays that fell flat against the evidence mountain. Then came victim impact statements. I was third to speak. Dale Mercer didn't just steal money, I began, voice steady despite my racing heart. He stole safety. He made me fear my own home, my own family. He corrupted an entire network of officials. He possibly killed for profit. The only thing that stopped him was being caught. Linda spoke about years of identity theft, the constant fear, the gaslighting. Marcus detailed finding elderly victims in memory care, robbed while helpless. Each story added weight to the jury's decision. Mom's testimony was played from recordings she was in protective custody, too dangerous to appear. Her voice filled the courtroom, detailing every scheme, every plan, every victim. She showed no emotion, just facts, saving herself by burying Dale. Ms. Mercer states the defendant discussed eliminating witnesses multiple times, Richardson noted. She wore a wire capturing him saying, quote, "Marin knows too much. Maybe she needs an accident like Rebecca." The jury forewoman was crying. Several reporters left, presumably to file stories about potential murder charges. Judge Brooks had heard enough. "Mr. Mercer, please rise." Dale stood on shaking legs. "The scope of your crimes is staggering. You targeted family, elderly, vulnerable individuals with systematic precision. You corrupted public officials, creating a criminal network. Most disturbing. Evidence suggests you may have committed murder to protect your schemes." He paused, letting the weight sink in. "On the federal charges before me, I sentence you to 35 years in federal prison, no possibility of parole, restitution of $1.2 million to be paid from seized assets, lifetime ban on financial services, fiduciary positions, or power of attorney roles. Furthermore," he continued, "I'm recommending immediate investigation into the death of Rebecca Mercer and any other suspicious deaths connected to your activities. You will remain in federal custody during these investigations." Dale collapsed into his chair. 35 years meant dying in prison. He was already 53. But the day's drama wasn't over. As marshals prepared to lead Dale away, he suddenly lunged toward me. "You ruined everything," he screamed. "You ungrateful." The marshals tackled him before he got 3 feet. Judge Brooks, unfazed, added, "Assault in federal court, add another 5 years, 40 total, remove him." They dragged Dale out, still screaming about ungrateful family and lies. The courtroom slowly emptied, reporters rushing to file stories. In the hallway, Richardson approached me. "You know there'll be more trials, Rebecca's case, the other suspicious deaths. You'll have to testify again." "I know. Your digital forensics work was exceptional. That encryption would have stayed unbroken without you. Have you really not considered federal law enforcement?" "I just wanted my life back," I repeated. She smiled. "You got more than that. You got justice for dozens of people." My phone exploded with notifications. The group chat was going wild, family members sharing news clips, celebrating, processing the revelations about Rebecca and others. Marcus posted, 40 years. He'll die in there. Good riddance. Paula Winters added, "Channel 6 just called me a hero neighbor for the security footage. I told them the real hero is Marin." Even distant relatives who'd initially defended Dale were expressing shock at the murder implications. The family fracture was complete, those who stood with truth versus those still in denial. Outside the courthouse, media swarmed. I'd prepared another statement. Today's verdict proves no one is above the law, no matter how long they've operated or who protects them. If you're experiencing financial abuse, document everything and speak up. Silence enables predators. That evening, the celebration at Ava's was subdued. Justice, yes, but also grief for Rebecca, for other possible victims, for the family we'd thought we had. Mom gets sentenced next week, Ava noted. 5 to 7, like they predicted. Then what? Then we move forward, I said. Without them. The news ran special reports all evening. Dale's bar buddy network was crumbling. Patterson got 2 years. The others similar. The corruption went deep, but was finally being cleaned out. My work phone rang. My boss from Northbridge Dynamics. Blake, you watching the news? That's the man who... Christ, take whatever time you need. And that forensic work you did, FBI's contracting us for similar analysis, specifically requested you. A future building from ashes. Late that night, I found an email from an unexpected source. Jennifer Patterson, whose ex-husband was one of Dale's network. Ms. Blake, thank you. You did what none of us could alone. My ex is finally facing consequences. My kids are safe. You saved lives, literally. Rebecca wasn't the only one in danger. I thought about that night in the snow. Stumbling to Ava's with a dislocated shoulder and torn shirt. How Dale had thrown me out. Thinking he'd won. How Mom had watched. Complicit. Now Dale would spend 40 years in federal concrete. Mom would serve her time in disgrace. The corruption network was shattered. Victims were getting restitution. And somewhere, Rebecca's family finally had answers, even if they brought more pain than closure. The group chat pinged one more time. A new member, Special Agent Sarah Chen from the FBI. Ms. Blake, this is official notice. The Rebecca Mercer homicide investigation is now active. Your encryption break provided crucial evidence. We'll be in touch about testimony. Also, that job offer stands. Your country needs cyber patriots like you. I smiled, closing my laptop. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, homicide investigations, Mom's sentencing, rebuilding my life. But tonight, Dale Mercer was federal inmate number 47832-090. His empire of theft and violence finally ended. The receipts had led to justice. The evidence had spoken louder than any family loyalty or corrupted official could silence. You're thinking about the FBI offer, Ava said, not asking. Maybe, after everything settles, after Rebecca gets justice too. Dad would be proud, she said simply. You fought back the right way, with truth. I looked at the evidence boxes, filled with documents that had changed everything. Each receipt, each timestamp, each piece of metadata had built an unstoppable case. Dale had taught me to document everything. It was the last mistake he'd ever make. 1 week after Dale's federal conviction, we gathered in Harbor County Superior Court for Mom's sentencing. She looked smaller in her orange jumpsuit, hair gray at the roots without her salon visits. Her lawyer, a tired public defender, had negotiated her plea deal 5 to 7 years in exchange for full cooperation. Judge Catherine Morrison presided, reviewing the case files with obvious distaste. Ms. Mercer, you've pled guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud, accessory to identity theft, and attempted witness tampering. Do you have anything to say before sentencing? Mom stood slowly, hands cuffed in front. For the first time since this began, she looked directly at me. I was trying to protect my family, she said, voice flat. Everything I did was for... Stop, Judge Morrison's voice cut like steel. I've reviewed your communications with Dale Mercer. You discussed removing problems. You knew about forged signatures. You watched your daughter be assaulted and told her she deserved it. Don't insult this court with false nobility. The prosecutor, Janet Williams, stood. Your Honor, while Ms. Mercer has cooperated, her testimony reveals calculated participation. She provided personal information about victims, helped plan timing, and actively concealed crimes. We recommend the full 7 years. Mom's lawyer made weak arguments about coercion, about Dale's controlling nature. They rang hollow against the evidence emails where Mom suggested targets, recordings where she laughed about easy marks. Then came my turn to speak. Your Honor, I began, facing the judge, not Mom. Vivian Mercer was supposed to protect me. Instead, she enabled systematic abuse. She chose Dale and money over her daughter's safety. I request maximum sentencing not for vengeance, but to prevent her from enabling future predators. Mom's composure cracked. Marin, baby, please. Don't. I finally looked at her. You lost the right to call me that when you watched him hurt me and said I deserved it. Judge Morrison nodded. Ms. Mercer, this court sentences you to 7 years in state prison. Upon release, you'll have lifetime prohibition from financial services, caregiving positions, or any fiduciary role. Restitution to be determined pending outcome of civil asset forfeiture. They led Mom away. She tried to catch my eye one last time, mouthing, I'm sorry, too little, too late. In the hallway, Detective Maddox waited with Agent Richardson. Ready for the big finale. Today was the day execution of asset forfeiture orders. Every property, account, and item purchased with stolen funds would be seized. Dale and Mom's house, his trucks, her jewelry, even the furniture bought with victims' money. A convoy of law enforcement vehicles followed us to the house. FBI, state police, county sheriffs all coordinating to dismantle Dale's empire in one sweep. News vans trailed behind, the story still captivating audiences. The house looked different in daylight without snow. Smaller, shabbier, ordinary evil hiding behind suburban normal. Yellow tape still crossed the door from the evidence search. Today, that would be replaced with federal seizure notices. Ms. Blake, Agent Richardson said, as lead victim, you have right of first inspection. Anything with sentimental value can be petitioned for return. I almost laughed. Sentimental value. In this house of lies. But I went in, wearing gloves, accompanied by agents. The living room where Dale had thrown my things. The kitchen where Mom had turned away. The stairs where my shoulder had dislocated. In my old room, now thoroughly searched, I found one thing worth saving a photo album from before Dale. When Dad was alive, pictures of actual happiness. Before everything went wrong, I took it. That's all, Maddox asked. That's all that matters. The seizure team worked with efficient precision. Electronics, documents, furniture all tagged, photographed, removed. The house would be sold, proceeds going to Victim Restitution Fund. In Dale's office, they found more evidence, hidden compartments with cash, burner phones, fake IDs, a laptop with encrypted partitions the FBI was still cracking. Each discovery added to potential charges. Look at this, an agent called from the garage. Behind a false panel, neat stacks of documents, powers of attorney, life insurance policies, wills all forged, waiting to be deployed. Dale had been planning expansion. My phone buzzed. Marcus in the group chat. Local news just announced 3 more arrests from Dale's network. The dominoes keep falling. By afternoon, the house was stripped bare. Seized vehicles lined the driveway. Neighbors watched from windows, some filming, as Dale's material life disappeared into evidence trucks. Paula Winters approached with a steaming mug. Thought you might need coffee. How are you holding up? Better than I expected, I admitted. It's just stuff. He valued things over people. Fitting that he loses both. She squeezed my shoulder, the good one. The neighborhood association voted. We're installing a memorial bench for Rebecca at the park. Would you speak at the dedication? Of course. As sunset approached, workers bolted federal seizure notices to every door. The house would sit empty until auction. A monument to greed's consequences. Back at Ava's, we watched the evening news coverage. The anchor called it the largest family fraud case in state history. They showed Dale's perp walk, Mom's sentencing, the asset seizure. Then came the update everyone waited for. Federal prosecutors announced today that Dale Mercer will face additional charges for conspiracy to commit murder in the death of Rebecca Mercer. Trial date pending. He'll never see freedom, Ava said quietly. 40 years plus murder charges, he's done. The group chat had evolved into something beautiful, a support network for financial abuse victims. We'd created resource guides, contact lists for lawyers, tips for documentation. What started as family drama became a movement. That evening, my laptop chimed with encrypted email. Agent Chen from the FBI. Miss Blake, the cyber forensics position is yours whenever you're ready. Your work on the Mercer case has been instrumental. We need analysts who understand both technology and human impact. Also, confidentially, we've uncovered evidence of similar fraud rings in 3 other states. Your documentation methods would be invaluable in building cases. The offer stands indefinitely. Your country and future victims need your skills. Agent S. Chen. I sat staring at the email, from tech support to FBI analyst, from victim to victor. The path was clear if I wanted it. You're going to take it, Ava said, reading over my shoulder. After Rebecca's trial, after all of this is truly finished. It'll never be finished, she said gently. There'll always be another victim, another predator, but you can help stop them. She was right. My phone contained 18 messages from strangers who'd seen the news, asking advice about suspected fraud in their families. The receipts I'd kept hadn't just saved me, they'd created a template others could follow. Late that night, I made my decision. I composed a reply to Agent Chen. Agent Chen, I accept, pending completion of testimony in all Mercer-related trials. I have one condition: I want to help develop national standards for financial abuse documentation. What happened to my family happens every day. We need systematic ways to stop it. Also, I'm bringing my evidence templates. Let's make keeping receipts standard practice. Marin Blake. The response came within minutes. Welcome to the FBI. Special Agent Trainee Blake. Your first assignment after training, help us build the Financial Crimes Victim Resource Database. Your templates will be the foundation. I closed the laptop and pulled out the photo album I'd saved. Pictures of Dad teaching me to ride a bike, of family dinners before Dale, of a time when home meant safety. Tomorrow, the sealed house would stand empty, awaiting auction. Mom would begin serving her 7 years. Dale would rot in federal prison while murder charges built against him. The network of corruption would continue unraveling. But tonight, I sat in my chosen sister's home, employed by the FBI, surrounded by evidence that truth beats blood. The girl who'd stumbled through snow with a dislocated shoulder had become the woman who brought down a criminal empire. All because I'd kept the receipts. My phone buzzed one last time. Linda, Dale's ex-wife. Thank you for what you couldn't know you were doing. Rebecca can rest now. We all can. You gave us peace. I set the phone aside and looked at the photo album one more time. Dad would have been proud not of the revenge, but of the justice, of choosing right over easy, of protecting others from predators. No more victims, I whispered to his photo. I promise. Outside, snow began falling again, gentler than that February night, but I was warm, safe, and ready for whatever came next. The receipts had done their job. Now it was time to help others build their own paper trail to justice. The courtroom was silent as I stepped down from the witness stand. 6 months had passed since Dale's federal conviction, and now we were here for the final act, his murder trial for Rebecca's death. My testimony about the encrypted files had just connected the last dots. The prosecutor held up the mechanic's report. Brake lines professionally cut. Insurance payout 3 days after death. Defendant's own words, make it look accidental. Dale sat slumped at the defense table, his orange jumpsuit hanging loose on his diminished frame. Prison had aged him 20 years in 6 months. His lawyer's insanity defense had crumbled against the methodical planning evidence. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. We waited in the victim's room: Linda, Rebecca's parents, her sister, and me. The woman whose encrypted evidence had broken everything wide open. Guilty of murder in the first degree, life without parole, to run consecutive with his 40-year federal sentence. Dale would die in concrete and steel, never hurting another family. Rebecca's mother grabbed my hands. She can rest now. Thank you for giving her justice. Outside the courthouse, I stood in fresh snow so different from that February night. This time, I wasn't stumbling injured and afraid. I stood tall, FBI credentials in my pocket, ready for Monday's first day at Quantico. The group chat had grown to over 300 members, victims supporting victims, sharing resources, building cases. We'd created what we needed, a network of truth against family predators. "Ready to go?" Ava asked, joining me on the courthouse steps. "One more stop," I said. We drove to Riverside Cemetery, where Dad rested. I placed fresh flowers and the newspaper clipping, "Local woman's evidence brings down multi-state fraud ring." "I kept my promise, Dad," I whispered. "No more victims." The headstone next to his belonged to Rebecca. Her family had chosen the inscription, "Truth sets us free." I placed flowers there too, for the cousin whose death had helped expose everything. That evening, we held the real Sunday dinner, the family we'd chosen: Marcus, Paula, the cousins who'd stood with truth, Linda, even Detective Maddox and Agent Chen. Ava's dining room overflowed with people who'd proved family meant more than blood. "A toast," Marcus raised his glass, "to Marin Blake, who taught us that receipts beat blood every time." "To receipts," everyone chorused. My phone buzzed with a CNN notification: FBI launches National Financial Abuse Documentation Initiative. Based on Blake method, my templates were going nationwide. Later, as dishes clattered and laughter filled rooms that had seen too much planning and evidence review, I stepped onto Ava's porch. The snow had stopped, leaving the world clean and quiet. Mom would serve her full 7 years, no early release for someone who'd enabled murder. Dale would never breathe free air again. Their house had sold, proceeds distributed to victims. The corruption network was dismantled, officials imprisoned. But more importantly, our story had inspired others. Every day brought emails from people who'd found courage to document abuse, escape predators, seek justice. The receipts were spreading. My new FBI supervisor had already assigned my first case. A grandmother in Florida suspected her son was stealing her retirement. The patterns were familiar, but this time, we'd catch him early. "You good?" Ava joined me on the porch. "Yeah," I said, meaning it. "For the first time in years, I'm actually good." Dad would be so proud. You didn't just survive, you thrived, and saved others doing it. I thought about that night 10 months ago. The snow, the pain, the betrayal. How Dale had thrown me out thinking he'd won. How Mom had chosen greed over daughter. Now Dale faced life in prison. Mom had lost everything. The victims had justice. And I'd found my calling, using technology and tenacity to stop predators who thought family meant complicity. "Hey," Ava nudged me. "Chen's waving. Thinks she wants to talk shop." "On Sunday dinner," I mock groaned, but headed inside. Agent Chen met me halfway. "Sorry to mix business with pleasure, but thought you'd want to know 3 more states are adopting your documentation protocols. You're saving lives before they're lost. Blake." The warmth inside wasn't just from the heating, it was from finding my purpose, my people, my path forward. Every receipt had led here to a life dedicated to stopping others from suffering what we had. As the evening wound down and guests filtered out, each stopping to hug me and whisper thanks, I made one last check of the group chat. New member posts flooded in: victories against predators, resources shared, courage found. What had started as family drama in Sunday dinners had become a movement of survival and justice. The final message of the night came from an unknown number. I almost didn't read it, but the preview caught my eye. "Ms. Blake, my name is Anna. I've been documenting my husband's fraud for 3 months using your template. Tomorrow I go to the FBI. Thank you for showing me it's possible. Thank you for the receipts." I smiled, pocketing my phone. Tomorrow I'd start FBI training. Tomorrow there'd be new cases, new predators to stop, new victims to save. But tonight, surrounded by chosen family in a warm house, I was exactly where I belonged. No longer the girl who'd been thrown into the snow, now the woman who'd used that snow to preserve evidence, build a case, and bring down an empire. Dale had been wrong about one thing: family does protect family. Real family protects each other from predators, with documentation, courage, and receipts for everything. The snow outside continued falling softly, covering the past in clean white, But underneath, the evidence remained, permanent and undeniable. And I'd keep adding to it, one saved victim at a time. Some stories end with the villain's defeat. Mine began there, with a new badge, a national platform, and the knowledge that every receipt saved could save a life. Dale thought he'd taught me a lesson that snowy night. He had just not the one he'd intended. Always keep the receipts. They'll save you, and everyone who comes after. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Please share in the comments below, so we can connect and discuss your thoughts on Marin's journey. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. And if you want more people to hear this important story about standing up against family abuse, please hit that hype button to help spread the word. Your support means everything. Until next time, remember always keep your receipts.